Well, 3-0 after the first period. Penn State with the lead on goal by Taylor Serra and 2 by Tim O'Brien. And I'm joined by the old hockey coach, Joe Battista, the assistant athletic director for Hockey Stuff. Like a different hockey team out there, as one of the fans says on Ustream.
Maybe it's Delaware, and that's what Delaware does, brings out the best in Penn State.
And I think, too, as Taylor talked about with Rodney, the fact that he's back, George Sauter's back, Dan Laux is back, and they had a week off to kind of rest and regroup and get away from the rink.
Well, and I think anybody that's followed the team knows that, this last stretch where they've had a little bit of a bump, you don't play teams of that caliber and have that many of your better players on a lineup and not expect it to have an impact. But they've really come out today with a renewed sense of purpose and energy.
Absolutely. Part of the thing that I was talking to the guys about at practice on Tuesday is pressure. With all of the stuff going on with the change to NCAA status and the history of the program, as you well know. You hate to use the term dynasty, but let's face it, this team, maybe not a dynasty, but certainly a benchmark for teams in the ACHA. And I asked Kevin Miller, who's new to the team, if the guys are feeling that pressure, and he said really no, but I think it's got to be in the back of their minds.
Well, I would hope that they'd be excited about what's coming because, certainly a number of those guys have the opportunity to play that first season of varsity hockey in a couple years. And, for those guys like Tim O'Brien and Chris Cerruti, who unfortunately the timing wasn't right for them, hey, I would think that they would say, hey, maybe I just missed it by a little bit, but I'm glad for the program. And hopefully they would use it to get motivated. What I think is actually happening is the opposition is using it as a way to motivate their players.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense because we've always talked about the big target on the back of the Penn State Icers, and it's
bigger.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's talk about the future. As I mentioned at the end of the period, another milestone week. You have the construction management team in place and people very familiar with hockey arenas.
Well, it was my first experience with, this, and my understanding it was very unique because typically when Penn State builds a building, you don't see the kind of energy and atmosphere, but because of the uniqueness and the magnitude of the gift, the fact that you had your donor there and his, advising team there, the energy was terrific. There were, the people from the both architect firms that are doing the project. Our ICE engineer was in town for it. The construction management team, which we're really happy with.
Talk a little bit about that construction management team.
Yeah, Mortenson's is a firm that's based out of the Midwest, but they specialize in arenas, stadiums, and athletic facilities, but really they specialize in ice rinks. And they're just finishing Minnesota Duluth's brand new 7,000-seat facility, the Duluth Entertainment and Convention Center, which I just visited back in October. And I'll tell you, they're really, really excited about what they've done out there. The Minnesota Duluth people were very pleased, said it was a dream team to work with, so we're excited to have them.
Yeah, you talk about the meeting you had where everybody was there and Terry Pagula kind of got things going with what I understand was a very passionate speech.
Yeah, he gave his vision. And I think, again, I just don't sense that they're used to having the actual donor. Of course, you don't get too many donors that pay for the entire building and, really, allow the program, to get to a whole nother level. And Terry just really is so passionate about it. I got a kick out of the fact that I think it was the Hockey News said that Terry was in New York City meeting with Gary Bettman, signing some statement of intent. I got a kick out of that since he was sitting right beside me here at Penn State. So you don't believe everything you hear in all these rumors.
Well, we won't go down that road. We'll leave that for the NHL type reporters to talk about. Let's talk about moving forward. Understand that the wheels are turning as far as the search for a coach.
Yeah, we are interviewing national search firms right now. We just believe that this is going to be such a gem of a job, and it's going to be sought by a lot of the top NHL college coaches. And rather than us trying to get bogged down and, getting phone calls from 1,000 different people, we want a firm that's going to help us really to narrow the list down based on our criteria, and it'll just keep us kind of at bay and really help us to find the right fit. They'll narrow it down to the top 5 candidates, and then we'll take over from there. And, again, I know personally the way the college hockey is right now in the NCAA, under an understanding of the rules of the recruiting, the game, eligibility, etc., that's critical, because you just, as much as it'd be nice to bring a big name former NHL player, if they don't have college coaching experience, we're taking a big chance. So they'd have to really show us something before I think we'd be willing to take that kind of a chance.
Assuming the top candidates, whether it's 5, 10, or whatever, are either NCAA or NHL coaches, obviously if they're currently under contract, you would have to wait until after the Frozen Four and or the NHL playoffs?
Well, we can begin. We just have to get permission. If it's a current NCAA coach, then we're going to need to ask permission from their athletic director to be able to begin talking. We won't interrupt somebody if they're still playing, which is why we're waiting until May to select the coach. We want to, this way, in case, one of the coaches we're really thinking about interviewing makes it to the Frozen Four, we've got to give them the respect of finishing off their season before we're going to try to talk to them.
Of course, if they make it to the Frozen Four, that's another feather in their cap.
Absolutely, and when it's all said and done, there's a lot of gamesmanship and negotiations that'll be going on. Certainly you're going to have, that school or that, whatever NHL team the guy may come from. They'll have a say and, maybe counter offering, etc. But, when it's all said and done, we think we've got a great opportunity, for the right coaches here for the men's and women's programs, and it's going to be exciting to be a part of that.
Already
nerve-wracking,
yeah.
But it's just been. I told my wife, I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, and I'm loving every minute of it. So.
Always a pleasure, Joe, and we'll talk to you quite regularly, as always.
You bet. Looking forward to the Winter Classic,
yes.
And especially now we got some good news. State College's high school team is going to get to play a game down on that ice. We're not sure if it's going to be before or after, but they got selected to play Bethel Park in a game as part of the youth hockey part of the Winter Classic, which is really cool.
I think we need to broadcast that one. We'll have to work on that as well with Gary Payton.
You got it.
All right,
okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, Joe Battista. Quick